so I went home and went to bed, and woke up about 1:45, feeling wet. And I walked to the hall, and water was leaking or gushing from me. And I was like, I think my water broke. And it was really clear that my water broke, but I just couldn't conceive of the fact that my water broke. I mean, I was like, did my water break? Is this what's happening? And then I'd have a contraction, and like water would gush out of me. And what else could it have been? I was very pregnant, and yes, clearly my water broke, but it was not clear to me, which is funny. So I woke up my husband, and I said, Pete, I think my water broke. And he was so adorable. He was very groggy with sleep, and also I could like tell immediately, like zing, adrenaline was pulsing through him, but he still couldn't really make the connection. What? So that was funny. So we started our plan, still planning to have a home birth. We called Lynn from Rainy City Midwifery, and she said she was on her way over. We called 2 other friends. One was going to be with me for labor support, and another was going to be with me to take care of my 2-year-old son, Soren. So Soren was asleep, but we had all these women here anyways. The friends arrived sooner than Lynn, and it was really exciting. We knew that labor was starting and birth was happening. We were going to meet our baby really soon. And yeah, my contractions changed very quickly from being like, oh, I think I'm having a contraction, to quite significant. I never felt Soren's contractions until I had to push. I never felt it as painful, just as intense. And these were painful, and they were painful really early, which surprised me. So I was doing some yoga and just sort of breathing through contractions. I mean, almost immediately from after my water broke. It was lovely to have my friends here. My friend Donna was filling up our birth tub, and my friend Maureen was she made me a snack, and I was having cheese and crackers, and just sort of celebrating being in this space. And then my son woke up, and he was sort of hysterical, crying. He was really unhappy, and then we had him come into the bedroom so he could see me, and Lynn was here at that point, and say, everything's okay, our baby's coming, you know, everything's fine, you have friends here to take care of you, but our baby's coming. And he immediately was happy. Our baby's coming! My baby's coming! So that was really fun. And then I got sort of comfortable on my bed, and Lynn, the midwife, checked me, and she said, okay, it doesn't feel like this is a head down, which was disappointing, to say the least, but not totally surprising. And then she said, it might be an elbow, I might be able to get the baby into position. Do you mind if I reach up into your cervix or through your cervix to get a better idea of what this presenting part is? And I said, yeah, that's fine. So she reached into my cervix, which I don't recommend. It was definitely a painful part of my labor. And she said, no, Kristi, these are 2 feet, so you can't have a home birth. I think actually what she said is, sorry, honey, I don't think we can do this at home. Let's call the hospital. So we called UW and said basically that I was coming in. And there was a little bit of tension for a while she was on hold, and I'm having contractions, and I just wanted to go to the hospital. And then she got back off hold, and they wanted to send an ambulance. And I thought, by the time an ambulance gets here, I will be at the hospital. This is crazy. Like, I'm just going to go. But I also wanted to respect that Lynn has a long-term relationship with these people, and she doesn't want to not do what they tell her to do. So I just advised Lynn to say that she told me to take an ambulance, and I refused, and I was going to the hospital. So they told me to go on my hands and knees. So that was very, very surreal. We stopped filling the birth tub. We got my son situated to go to his friend's house, and my friend Maureen drove him over, and Donna drove us to the hospital, and I was on my hands and knees in the back seat at like 2 o'clock in the morning, 2:30 in the morning, driving down the street in Seattle. It was very odd, and having pretty significant contractions. And then we got to the hospital, and they got put into a wheelchair and got wheeled to basically the operating room. And the first thing I said when I walked in there was that it felt like a spaceship. I mean, it just felt crazy. Like, this is birth, and birth to me feels like a safe and welcoming and loving process, and it feels like doing it at home is a great way to do it. And doing it in a spaceship felt crazy. Like, what are all these people doing here? There's like 10 people or a dozen people in different colored scrubs, and the lights were so bright. And I was, taking my pants off, and I had forgot. They said, you should probably get undressed, and I took my pants off, but I left my underwear on, and someone said, you should probably take your underwear off. That's probably a good idea. I am having a baby, so took my underwear off, and then I got situated on the table, and they're getting me ready for a cesarean, and I felt amazingly calm. I didn't feel in control of the situation, but I had so much faith that everything was as it should be, and it felt right to be giving birth in this room, and it felt, it felt good, even though it wasn't at all what I had anticipated. I felt the most remarkable calm. My husband was a little bit freaked out by my calm demeanor and by the whole situation. I mean, by 3 o'clock in the morning, we're in the operating room. At 1:45, my water broke, and so he felt much more comfortable when they were having me sign forms, and I was actually reading the forms. And I said, "What is it I'm signing here?" And they were explaining. So he said, "That's the Kristi I know. Everything's okay." So when we got into the operating room, which is something I didn't say, which I should say, is that it was the same doctors that we saw at noon who wanted to induce me or break my water, and they were very kind and loving. They said, "We're so sorry to see you here. We know you wanted to have a home birth, but we'll take very good care of you, and everything's going to be okay." And I thought that was very kind and loving, and I didn't feel sort of judged for wanting to do it at home, or I didn't feel like they were, secretly saying, "Oh, you should have been induced 12 hours ago." It just felt very supportive. They're like cleaning me up and shaving me, and I'm signing paperwork, and then they were getting my my anesthesia in, and let me tell you, I had no interest in having anesthesia. I wanted to have a birth at home with feeling everything my body was feeling, but it felt great. It's like, this is awesome. Went from having like pretty severe contractions and trying to like sign paperwork in blazing lights to just feeling nothing and being very relaxed. I had no sense of time. I don't know how long I was there. I didn't feel anything except a lot of pushing and pulling on my body, and then my baby came out of me through what we call the trap door. And she was held up, and I couldn't really see her, and my husband was like looking back and forth to because there was something in the way, and he couldn't really see if it was a girl or a boy, and then we found out that it was a girl, and I was so delighted. I felt so amazingly in love with her and calm and satisfied from the moment that she was born, and I didn't expect to feel that. When my son was born, which was at home, exactly as I expected, except faster, beautiful, my body was so shocked. I just felt like I was shaking all over the place and not focused on him. And it was amazingly different to be able to be so relaxed, and my body felt relaxed, and I was crying with happiness, and it just felt right and good. After she was born, they took her to somewhere where the pediatric team checked her out, I guess. I have no idea what they were doing. And they were sewing me up, and again, I don't know how long this was. It could have been 5 minutes, it could have been a half an hour, but it felt like a long time before they gave her to me, and when they gave her to me, she was just so beautiful, and I felt so happy to have her. She was on my chest, and she was able to latch and start breastfeeding right away, and we got pushed out of there into the recovery room, and it was beautiful. So very different than I expected, but wonderful too.